But I was having, I was trying to get the camera, the capture board. It's funny, all the other stuff, the extraneous crap that took us forever to get to work,
Right.
no problem. The 40-year-old hardware worked great. And that was all. The problem was getting the USB stuff to work together. I had an extension cable I didn't like. But I think I got it all sorted.
Well, the extension cable running from the capture card to the computer?
No, from the webcam to the computer.
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me. You don't have to tell me that tale.
So
I know it well.
I just said screw this. I just threw the cord down the back of the computer desk and crawled under it and plugged it in one of the ports in the back.
Commando.
And that worked. But anyway, when I shot that video, I didn't realize it at the time. But the game had no sound, which is not Cron's not loaded with sound. And I just wanted to get one to kick it off since you've been on my butt. The fundamentals of it are solid. It's all going to work great. I've just got to be entertaining and fun. I can't promise anything there.
Were you recording live?
I recorded. I didn't go live.
were you?
No, it was super late. It was too late to bother.
You got to remember that super late for us is prime time in Australia, where half of our people are.
That's true, but I only had like 20 minutes, so it was just a quick. It was a proof of concept, basically.
What is this? They keep promoting this.
Yes.
What's the deal with that?
Daniel Poirier and that's a Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Is he the guy that wears the fur hat?
He is. Yes. Wow, good, Boat. How did you know that?
I saw him. I saw a guy wearing a fur hat, and he had a funny name.
Khabib Nurmagomedov. And he is the champ, and then Dustin Poirier is the interim champ. What
does that mean?
When the champ couldn't fulfill his end of the bargain because of being out or being hurt or something like that, then they will crown an interim champ to be champion until the main champion gets back, and then almost inevitably they have a unification bout, or they just dissolve that interim belt. The UFC has it right, guys. The UFC's got a real thing about they've really screwed up.
Is it like boxing where you have the linear champion and all that?
Well, boxing doesn't really. Technically, boxing doesn't have a linear champion. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It's not recognized.
It's all the way back. It's unbroken since the dawn of time.
That's not true. I don't think you can trace the linear title back to John L. Sullivan or whatever. Because wrestling has a linear championship too, and it's even more ludicrous.
Well, that shouldn't surprise you.
Yeah. But yeah, that should be a good bout. Unfortunately, there was so much action last week that I didn't get to watch last weekend's UFC, so and I never miss. So I'm a UFC behind.
What happened when Tim showed up at the building at like 11 o'clock in the morning?
We watched wrestling, not UFC. We watched the AEW show. So
getting pumped for this weekend, right? Is it tomorrow? No, tomorrow's Computer Club. Is it 2 weeks from?
When?
AEW.
It was last weekend.
You already went?
No, this was the pay-per-view.
I know. That's
October.
Okay.
October 30th, I believe it is. That's a good fur piece off.
I wonder if they're going to do a little Halloween angle. You think so?
I would.
Sold out, just like the last pay-per-view.
It's not sold out.
But they're gonna call it sold out because it's like the Halloween angle. Sold out.
No, that sucks. There used to be a pay-per-view called Sold Out. That was SOULED.
Yeah. Sold out.
That was in fact, that pay-per-view was in. That was the last pay-per-view that was in Charleston.
I was there.
It was horrible.
It was 97. Flair was there.
It's a horrible show.
I saw him live. I saw him stalking around the ring like a puma.
Yeah. It's a horrible show. Get my junk together here. Anyway, I think I got the iron, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't watch that.
Well, that's okay. I didn't think you'd watch it at school or anything. It's nothing worth seeing. I just didn't know it was something I wanted to bother to stick up there or not.
Jim Cornette on Ric Flair wrestling and inebriated Kerr.
Kerry Von Erich. Yeah. You got a lot of UFC stuff in the feed there.
That's because,
which is weird because I don't watch any UFC.
Oh yeah, I think they're promoting this across the board. I think this.
Hey Gary.
Of course, I do watch a lot of boxing, and maybe they know that.
Do you watch? You do watch a lot of boxing?
Yeah, I watch a lot of classic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If I could have grown up in the 70s, like 70s sports, it would have been great.
Yeah, you missed out.
I'm
not going to sit here and say you're wrong because you're not. You're right. It was that the sports peaked in the 70s. You know, it's funny. I watched the ball game last night. Just a little bit. I didn't get to. I got the last.
I heard it was a horrible game.
I watched the last quarter. You know, well, I mean, it's the answer to the question: what happens when you hold out your star players through preseason?
Right.
You know, they're
everybody's shambling around.
They're rusty.
Yeah.
You know, but they at the end of the game, the people that you would expect to do well kicked it in. Quarterback, you know, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers came out, got some key passes. They had a couple of key defensive plays, and they ended up winning 10-3.
Yeah.
But it was 7-3 when I did.
Never let it be said that there are no more defensive battles in football.
I mean, I like a good defensive battle, but there's a difference between defensive battle and just, you know,
Poor
guys
play.
sucking.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't see the whole game, but I heard the exact same thing you did. I heard it was
I was listening to some of the box score, which is infinitely interesting to people in the chat. American football box scores.
Yeah.
But Trubisky threw.
That bores even me.
He threw 45 passes for like 200 yards.
Is that Chicago's guy?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know who he was. I had no idea who he even
Mitch
had.
Trubisky? He was a superstar last year.
Was he?
Yeah. Hey, Leaf. Hey, Barkbit.
I'm out of the loop.
Hey, Boss Man. Hey, Steven. Hey, Gary.
Boss Man.
Hey, Free Lunch. I think that Paul Boss Man Harrington could take Big Boss Man in a duel. I've met Boss Man Harrington.
The Big Boss Man's dead. So,
that's what I'm saying.
He had a good shot at it.
Boss Man Harrington just give an elbow to the tombstone. That's how he does it.
Man, I know I gotta get Dreamcatcher. I'll watch some of Dreamcatcher's videos this week.
I always forget to check up on his video content. We need to subscribe. Are we subscribed to him on our channel?
I'm subscribed to him.
Well, I think you only do stuff on our.
No, I hardly ever do stuff on our channel. I mean, every once in a while.
How do I get all these Robot Chicken and Simpsons videos?
When I forget.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only way. Man, actually, I'm going to be talking extensively about this Dreamcatcher article here. He's going into for once, I've actually played the game.
Look at this. There are 3 channels called Dreamcatcher.
Yeah.
Our Dreamcatcher looks the coolest.
Yeah.
This guy.
That's an exact duplicate of him. Who knew that many people would spell a Dreamcatcher cool guy style?
Well, that's true. It's like Firestarter. It's a British thing.
Is it?
You wouldn't understand.
I hated that song. I'm your Firestarter.
Don't speak ill of the dead.
Hey, sorry. That song sucks. And everything I ever heard from that band, I thought sucked. I know people love them, hold them in high regard, but I never liked it.
To me, they're about the worst thing I've ever heard in my
life.
life.
Can't be right.
I haven't heard much worse than Prodigy.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
I'm not.
Hi, guys.
I mean, it's the Ralph the Dog syndrome taken to extreme.
Mathleton. You can tell him. I thought that said Malta-ton. I was like, man,
he's here. It's that guy from Malta. Hot Fuzz or whatever. Phaser 101.
Yeah. Got a good crowd gathering. The storm clouds are gathering.
That's right.
We're harnessing the power of the positive Amiga community in one big wad.
So let's carry it forward by continuing to talk about wrestling and American football.
No, I've got nothing else to say about either one of those topics. I mean, I'm sick of both of them. I saw too much wrestling. I'm done with that. There were 4 real huge wrestling shows last weekend, and I watched 3 of them, and they were good.
What were the other ones?
I don't know. There was Ring of Honor,
AEW,
WWE, UK. Oh, and New Japan.
Do you consider Ring of Honor to be a good promotion?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're on like Fox at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, they're on the Sinclair Broadcasting Network, one of the largest broadcast networks on the planet, and they're on there whenever somebody
I
wants
always see whenever I'm watching like Wheel of Fortune or something, they're like, and don't miss Ring of Honor this Friday at 3 a.m.
No, they're on a Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
that's a secondary showing.
It's a secondary, all right.
No, they're just down right now because they lost all their guys. If you look across the board, all their great talent from the last couple of years has been robbed.
You know who they need to bring him back?
I don't.
Billy Corgan, best promoter of all time.
Billy Corgan's got his own promotion.
No, he doesn't. Didn't he leave
he does.
his other? Does he have a new promotion?
No, it's the same one he's been with for years.
I thought him and TNA did not part ways.
He doesn't work with TNA. He works for the NWA. He runs the National Wrestling Alliance. So yeah, he's got his own promotion. He's got his own big organization.
Why don't you ever talk about their shows?
I don't see them. To be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't.
You gotta pull some of those down.
I don't have time. I've got enough wrestling. I've had enough. Just like football, you only push me so far on this stuff, and I've hit the wall. There were more great 5-star matches last weekend than probably in whole years back when I was a kid. But it's just too much.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah.
And it's getting ready to get more and more. There's going to be tons more in the fall.
You're paralyzed by greatness.
No, I'll stop watching it. You know, I've been trying to do other things. Me and the boys sat down last night. We sat down 2 nights ago, and we played the card game of life with Tree.
I hear that's good.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I ended up going to college, and Tree went to college. Tree became an accountant, but I couldn't get anything with that required a degree. So what did I do? Artist.
Hey.
And no, that sucks.
It's like looking in a mirror.
In the meantime, Luke, and I was watching this with interest, like, what's Luke going to do? He skipped school completely.
Sure.
Became a salesman, instantly got a promoter, and then had like 6 kids. So let's hope to God that doesn't happen.
Why not? Salesmen make good bank.
No, not that, but I'm having 6 kids.
Six kids?
That's too many kids.
That's too many? What's your over-under on good amount of kids?
A kid. All, I can't handle more than one. And then last night, because we built the Luke corner, right? We sat down quietly.
Good.
We loaded up, of all things, the PlayStation 2.
You were just talking about how you never got into the PlayStation 2
Well,
on Discord.
I've got one, and I won it at an auction a couple years ago, and they gave it to me. The thing was jacked up. They screwed me on one of the joysticks.
Well, didn't you? I remember you telling me, "Listen, man, I've got the rarest model that's ever been released. This thing is worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars."
What?
Yeah.
No.
You pointed me at an auction.
No. This is I don't know what you're talking. You're nuts. But this thing was just something that they were running auction at the Antiques for Nitro.
Yeah, I remember.
So I bought this thing. It was like I think I paid $10 for it, and I didn't want it. I forgot I bid on it.
This is when it came in a box, right?
Yeah, it came in a box.
I remember that part.
So I got the thing home, and I was like, "What do I do with this thing?" So I looked around. Well, there's a gimmick you can do. I'm sure everybody knows this, where you can. These PlayStations, they had the hard drive in them. The second one, I take that out.
Right.
I got a gimmick that lets you put a SATA hard drive in it.
Good.
I bought a $5 memory card that someone had jacked. I could have jacked it myself, but I thought I'll spend $1.
Yeah, pre-jacked.
Pre-jacked. Stuck that bad boy in. Put some games on that hard drive. You're done. So now I've got some PS2 games. I mean, I've had them for a couple years now.
Right.
But me and Luke we're gonna go through every system once a week. I'm gonna play a new system.
That sounds like a great idea.
We played one of his favorites. We played Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Team Racing.
Crash Team Racing. That's what we played.
It's a good game.
So that was our game last night. So yeah, we're trying to mix it up a little bit at the house and on our evenings. And I don't watch any wrestling during the week. So even if I wanted to, I wouldn't.
Free Lunch has got 6 kids. Edvin's got 4 kids.
You guys are they're better than me.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah. I mean, I can't do it. It's
Yeah.
nothing against. Listen, if you can handle 6 kids or 10 kids, you got my respect. I can handle a kid. That's it.
Well, let's be honest. You're handling a lot.
No, well,
and you're playing a solo game too.
No, I mean
Edvin's got his wife is in there with him, rocking and rolling.
Well, I mean, listen, it's maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just too old to have a bunch of kids.
You are rather aged.
You know, I get to say that. Ass.
Steven's in Thailand.
Oh, he's in your stomping ground.
Yeah, where are you at in Thailand, Steven?
Oh, he's having a holiday there. Now we watch a lot of holiday type related areas to go to in Thailand. You know what? Remember those videos we watched?
Yeah. We watched all the red light districts. So I don't know how we got on. We started watching walking tours, and slowly they got more and more blue.
You call me old. You and the Codger Patrol were like, let's load up some walking tour. I thought that was my God.
You don't like a good walking tour?
This ain't no bachelor party, that's for sure. It was. I've never seen anything like it. They were passed around the Ben Gay.
Swapping medical histories.
Jiminy Christmas, man.
Hey guys, if you like this kind of talk, tune in tomorrow at the same time.
They'll be walking towards out the yin yang.
It'll actually be an hour and a half past this. It's going to get started at 7. Taze Valley Classic Computer Club meets right here in Amigo Studios. Aaron is bringing a couple projects he's been working on.
I bring a project.
A project?
Yeah.
We're going to have the Wilcox cam, him rocking on the Mr. Dew's Castle. It's going to be a grand old time. I've got capture gear for everything.
I'm going to beat his hiney tomorrow night at that game. I'm excited.
You are.
I'm going to get my PC working, and next month's computer club, we're going to work on that Mac.
Right.
So
Yep.
I've got it all planned out.
We got a big anyway. It's going to be a stream and a half. We're gonna
happening.
We're going to run from 7 till midnight. So
I saw you up the end time. What happened there?
Well, on Saturday or this coming Sunday, we normally go to 9 o'clock mass, but they're having only 11 o'clock mass this week, so I can sleep in a little bit.
Don't worry, Terror. We will. It'll be recorded, man.
Yeah.
It'll be live to tape.
It'll
as they
be
used to call it.
live to tape. Is that a wrestling term?
Hey, Terror, what's the K stand for?
Like Reliant?
And is that your real name? That'd be cool. Terror.
First name Terror, last name K.
Smith.
Oh yeah. Actually, it would be
Killer.
Killer.
Holy, that makes sense. Does that? Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
And Terror K gives a DJ flair.
It does. Anytime you.
So like name. Special K.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Was that that was a cereal?
Hey Lee. What up, Lee?
When was the last time you sat down to a bowl of Special K?
I like Special K with bananas in it. It's good eating.
Got
to put a little sugar up.
When I lived in England, I subsisted entirely on Special K and kebabs. I'd eat a bowl of Special K for breakfast, a bowl for lunch, and then a huge kebab for dinner.
That's the way you do it, man.
I thought it was a great diet plan until I gained 30 pounds. It was not quite as foolproof as I expected.
I understand, man. I've never had a proper kebab, I don't think, like you have.
I hadn't until I moved to England. There, they've got them left and right.
No, Ricky's a Fruity Pebbles man. You know, I like Raisin Bran. That's my brand.
That stuff is nasty.
I love raisins. They're good eating. You know?
I like a good raisin nut bran where they coat the raisin with that nutty.
No, that's out.
No.
I want the raisins au naturel.
Coated in sugar.
You know what's really tasty is what you do is you get you some Rice Krispies.
Yep.
Okay. Step
I'm with
one.
you.
You get you some skim milk.
Okay.
I only drink skim milk, and then you get you some. You get you a little bit of raisins, and you get you some bananas. You chuck all of it in there, slice it up.
Yeah. The thing you got to be careful with Rice Krispies, you got to eat them right away. There is no screwing around.
Oh yeah, because other cereals you kind of want to wait.
Right.
Rice Krispies they don't.
Yeah.
Because you get that they almost form like a flotilla, a wall of rice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what's funny is that it's sort of on the opposite end of the spectrum of your grape nuts. With grape nuts, you got to leave them in the milk hours.
I think the term grape nuts makes me uncomfortable.
It is a strange name to give a cereal.
It's like Schmuckers. It's like, I don't know. What's going on? What's that?
I never heard anybody have a problem with Smuckers.
You never just say it to yourself a few times.
Smuckers.
Does that sound right to you?
No, it doesn't.
Remember Fuddruckers? It's another one.
That one, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
that's why they went out of business.
Is that they're still around, just not around here? Yeah,
we've never.
My
had
buddy
them
loves
here.
them. He's like, they're great. You know, graham crackers see, I've never done that. Graham crackers. Now I have eaten when I was living in Huntington. I was below poor.
Was this the poorest you've ever been? Was this the Vienna sausage period?
I didn't have Vienna sausages. This is the discount hot dog period when I walk in the store. But I remember a bunch of times having cereal, but I didn't have any milk, so we just pour water in it. That sucks.
That's no good.
I've done it plenty of times.
That's no good.
Yeah. Thank you, Terry. And then I can't even tell you the unspeakable things I do with a pack of ketchup. You know, when you make a little cereal.
Why didn't you just go home?
I didn't have a car. My dad had wrecked my car. Plus, I didn't want to come home and be like, admit defeat that early. Trust me, I admitted it later. I've got big, unbelievable news, Bode. Get your checkbook out. You ready? Mud Mountain is for sale.
Wow.
Mud Mountain is for sale. Guess what he's asking for it?
What?
Take a guess.
Okay.
He's got to clear this number to get out of it.
I'm going to say 55.
$5,500?
55,000.
Oh, okay.
5,500.
I was like,
jeez, he's selling his
Listen, I'm way closer than you are.
Okay.
10 grand.
That's it.
10 grand buys the mountain.
Wow.
And all the memories that lie there within.
You should just buy it yourself.
Oh yeah, 10 grand. Let me just start a GoFundMe. I need to own Mud Mountain.
Get Aaron back on the mountain.
Here's what, if I own that again, it'd be not good for me.
That's
because
true.
I'd go up there and just go absolutely crazy.
It'd be like old times.
You know, but Mud Mountain is for sale. My uncle is moving out into a proper home. Good for him.
Does it come with the furnishings for 10 grand?
Oh, I would say yeah, probably.
The air conditioner?
Yeah, the wall heat, all of it. You get it all, man.
Who says you can't have it all? I'm forming the real estate listing in my mind.
Man, ramen noodles and cup noodles. It's funny. Everyone talks about those as like the poor guy food.
Mm-hmm.
I never liked either one of those that much. But eventually, it's funny. After a while, I ended up growing to enjoy ramen noodles. But the problem with them is, I remember I'd buy some of those, and my friends would all hork them. I used to have a lot of people over to the house, which I always thought was weird because I had no money.
Right.
But that was good because they would bring food or money or whatever, and then you get in there and get them to fund your activities. That's
right.
Pony up. Like, for example, this soda pop. I bum one every week.
Well, that's taken from the fund.
Oh, dadgummit, I forgot about the fund.
Man, I had something awesome to talk to you about.
I doubt that. There's no way.
I already forgot it. Well, you ready to start the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you want to work in the special bag of joy?
We'll do it right off the bat.
Just bam,
Or
bag of joy.
Do you want to do a separate video?
No. Because it's Amiga related. Yeah, let's put it in a podcast.
Okay.
Put it in a podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we are going to talk about Project X. Now,
you got to do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about this?
You know, in wrestling,
you ever bring it down?
In
like
wrestling, when they do this, that means the guy's injured in the ring.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. When who does that? The other guy?
When a ref does it.
Oh, when the ref does it. Does the other wrestler have sort of a secret signal to tell the ref that something's going on?
You mean if the wrestler gets hurt?
Right.
They'll tell the ref, like, I'm mauled. Usually
That's
the ref,
a secret signal?
Usually the ref can see it.
When you think about the letter X, it's appropriated by almost all forms of entertainment now. Yeah.
That's true. I like that in the old days.
Right. What is the first X property that comes to your mind?
X-Men, I guess.
X-Men?
Yeah.
Even more than Professor X.
Well, same thing.
Are they related?
You know they are.
Why is one? I didn't know.
He runs the X-Men. He started the X-Men. That's why they call him the X-Men. He's Professor X.
I didn't know if that was like, you know how in DC and Marvel they have like Hawkeye and the other Arrow guy.
Yeah.
And like I thought that maybe
Green Arrow.
Right. Professor X was like DC's version of the X-Men.
No, he's a Marvel guy. He's a Marvel guy. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Are you really that? You don't know jack squat about comic books.
I don't know much about comic books.
How do you know Hat Chad with such a limited knowledge of comics?
He's like the yin to my yang.
Oh,
he fills in the gaps. He also knows a lot about Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't know jack squat about that.
Let's talk about what you do know about.
Yeah.
A bunch of games you got in the mail.
That's right. So, I guess it's been about a month and a half ago. I'll just to recap this quickly. I saw a Facebook posting about a Sacramento, California Amiga users group that was liquidating their archive. And I thought, man, I'd like to get me some of that sweet action, but getting this archive over here would cost me a fortune, you know. And the guy only wanted, I think it was 50 pieces for $100. That's what it ended up being. And so I thought, well, we're screwed. And so I just sort of mentioned it in our Discord. And my good buddy David, my man in California, he stepped up and said, listen, he goes, I live near Sacramento. I could go get this, and then we could work out some kind of gimmick. And
right.
Work a gimmick we did. And so what we ended up doing is, and if you'll recall, we put a big spreadsheet up. Actually, he did all this. And people went in and filled out what they wanted. And then he's slowly beginning to ship this stuff out. Mm-hmm. And he shipped my stuff first. I was the big winner, I guess.
Wow.
Now, of course, being the two head dogs on this project, we got first dibs.
Sure, absolutely.
And so I got recently received my bag of fun here. I'm going to pull it out, Boat, let you look at it. Now, this is probably no great shakes to a lot of the people overseas because you guys see Amiga games like everywhere.
They're falling out of the boots of car boot sales.
I can tell you, it's much as like when we get those Spectrum tapes. Like we will never see these ever. And this is the most games I've personally seen since I saw an Amiga store here in the early '90s. So there you go. So for me it was just a thrill. So I'm just gonna pull these out. Like so. Now this was just a kind of a value add here. You just get your TextCraft Plus. Not that interesting on that one, Boat. You can feel free to peruse.
I do like the box though. Looks proper Amiga.
Yeah, it does.
With the check mark.
Now some of these Boats you're gonna get a right. Here's one that we covered. And actually, me and Boats were both like this. It's Cruise for a Corpse, y'all.
Oh.
Remember Cruise for a Corpse, Boat?
Yeah.
Got the lovely, look at that. Pretty good, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to pick out some that we'd looked at and then some that we hadn't. So now here's one boat. It's kind of coming apart a little bit. We just covered this one a few months ago, and it's Dungeon Master. Right here, and you can see on the back, some of these have been tested. They went through and tested a lot of these.
Dungeon Master is, I believe,
Look at that.
My least favorite title we've done in the past, I don't know, year or so.
What did you not like Dungeon Master? Oh, in the past year.
It's one of those frame per click.
Listen,
they should call it Dungeon Crawler.
Listen,
literally crawling.
Listen, Necronom right there, he's got it right. Now, I saw this and I was like, I got to get me some of this. And they had a couple of these. So this is Jack Nicklaus' Greatest 18 Holes golf game. I think you played this one, Bo, didn't you? This was one of the early games you played that got us a lot of hits for some reason.
Yeah. Actually, I want to say that I played this game and someone actually commented on the video thinking that I was Jack Nicklaus. He was like, I really loved you in that some old guy. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, Bo, here's one that I admit I had not heard of, but it looked intriguing. So I'm going to have to get your Dragon Wars.
Ooh.
Dragon Wars Interplay.
Yeah.
Supports characters from the Bard's Tale games, Bo.
Interesting.
Isn't that neat?
What I like about every game that you've pulled out so far has come in a different size box.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the great things about classic PC gaming.
Yeah, you're right
they hadn't standardized things
There's more to come, Bo, because I saw this and had to grab this. It's Marble Madness.
Ooh.
One of the very first games we looked at, isn't it, Bo?
Now that is a desirable title, for sure.
Look at that.
Coming in that early Electronic Arts record album sleeve.
You get that right there. Isn't that neat? You've got your disc and your... I thought you'd like that
I may steal that from you later.
There's no stealing, Bo. I gave you a crack at these and you were like, I don't want nothing.
You'd already taken all the good stuff.
No, that's horse hockey. Now, I'll let say this one didn't have the instruction card, but I had to have it. And I actually already owned the discs, but I had to have it. One of my faves. It's the Sword of Sodan, y'all. Look at that cover, by the way.
It's an iconic game.
For me, anyway. I love these. These are really good. And but this one just has the... This is just
all these games share the same thing. They all feature a scantily clad female on the front.
That's how you do it, Bo. Now, this is one I honestly had to figure out what the heck it was. This is Alien Breed 3D 2, The Killing Grounds. It's where they undersold the Alien Breed part down here.
Interesting. I wonder if that's got to be a re-release of some kind.
No. This is the way it looks.
Really?
This is an AGA game. And say, there you go.
Maybe they thought that if they marketed it as Alien Breed, no one would believe it was 3D.
Down here is it says Alien Breed in a little square. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, it's an AGA only
Maybe
title.
they thought when you name something 3D 2, maybe that you're sequeling out the yin yang.
You're really taking it too far.
Now here's one, but I think you'll appreciate this more than anybody. Earl Weaver Baseball.
I love it.
There it is.
I love it.
Bo, big baseball fan, and of course I bet you liked old Earl back in the day.
He's one of the greats. He'd turn his cap around backwards and scream at the ref.
And then you've got, of course, this is another one of these gimmicks here. Well, look at that.
Yeah,
Isn't that nice?
Those EA games, those early EA games, man, I love them. I can't get enough.
Yeah, I agree. And then the last one I picked up, and I had to have it. I had to because you know how much I love it. This is Don Bluth's Dragon's Lair.
Boy, that's in a great shape too.
Yeah, Don Bluth Dragon's Lair with the beautiful Bluth art on the front and the back. So that was my grab out of the bunch.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. I did, as I was looking through these boxes, as you go through these games, you'll definitely have to do a peruse to see what handwritten instructions you might find. In there. I love finding stuff like this where people have written hints and things and little things for themselves. It's really, really cool. It's an artifact of the time.
I will say, this is not the last game I'll be getting because I'm an idiot, Bo. And I was looking through eBay. I was like, man, I'd love to be able to get some good, cheap deals in these games because, like I said, they're getting tough to come by.
Yeah.
And if I was going to ever collect games, it'd be on the Amiga because I love the Amiga. And, of course, this week we're playing Project X. And lo and behold, there's a sucker selling an American version of Project X. And so I ended up getting Project X. It's in the mail.
Wow.
I got it for $20 shipped.
Excellent.
Not too bad. So I will be getting Project X as well to add to my collection. So eventually I'm going to build me a nice shelf of Amiga games. And then hopefully one of these days I'll go through and just play all these.
Yeah, play them off the disc.
Yeah.
Old school style.
Wow. And it'd be cool to see what they were. Now, like I said, these have all been checked out and they work.
Yeah.
So now other other people in our Discord should start receiving their games soon. And hopefully, when they get them, they'll at bare minimum take a picture, maybe even shoot a little video. We can put up on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks again to David out in California, our man in California, who really this was all hinged on his participation, because not only is he picking up the games, but he's also shipping them, and he's got to go through PayPal and get people to pay him.
You know, it's funny. We were talking a little bit, and I said, "Boy, I'm surprised that you did this favor for Aaron, since he's constantly bashing your livelihood."
Yeah, because he works for Apple.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna toot your horn briefly here. I love our Discord, and actually you've started up a couple really good extra rooms in there this month. One was a question of the month, and the other one I really like, which is just introduce yourself. Now, I've seen these introduce yourself things, and no one ever gives a crap about these things. Just a couple lines. But I don't know who got the ball rolling, but now everyone's just emptying the vault. So I've learned so much about all the people that are part of the Discord. It's great. It's great. Talk about diverse, different countries, different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. I love reading people's stories. Yeah,
they're all so interesting and brilliant. You'll notice that I've not even came close to putting mine in there.
I'm going back to edit mine. I need to fill in a few of the
That's
finer
when I read
points,
yours. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is I've got to do some really remarkable crap, and then I'm going to.
Then you'll update it.
Give me a month.
And then I cured cancer.
You know what I'm going to do is I got to find a kid or something I can chuck in a river and then go save her.
Right. Exactly.
You know, and be
exactly.
like, look.
And so and I wish I could take credit for that, but that was somebody else's idea. I
Well,
just put it into motion.
Ching. Mission accomplished. That I love that thread. I learned a lot about people.
Yeah.
In there, and you know, I was reading on Facebook this week. I'm going to go down this road one quick time before we move on. And this is why I'm so appreciative of what our little band of miscreants and misfits are like, because once again, there's a big kerfluffle on the Facebook group.
Really?
People are dropping out of
What set it off this time?
I didn't even look that closely, but I'm just like, man. And everyone's like, "Oh, that's the Amiga community." But you know, it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it's not.
We've not had hardly any bad stuff at all.
No.
You know, everyone's been super nice to us. Everybody gets along real well. You know,
it's one of my favorite things in the world is in the morning I get up. One of the first things I do while I'm making coffee, I just open up the Discord, see what people are talking about.
Yeah. It's great. So, but anyway, thanks for everyone that participated in the game transfer from California. Thanks to our buddies out in Sacramento who decided to liquidate their games and gave us a real good rate.
Yeah.
And not just games, but like all the D paints and everything. They got a bunch of people that are into that stuff. Got some really good deals, you know. And we just gave it away.
Yeah.
Let them, you know, that's just for fun.
It's what we do. It's what we're about.
Just giving it away.
Except for the part where we have Patreon and people give us money. But except for that, we're all about giving. All right, Aaron. Let's talk about what's been going on this week in Amiga news.
What has been going on? I haven't seen any news this week.
Well, I had to generate my own news this week.
I don't know if I like that.
No, there's been some really big stories. The first one is our buddy Tenmark. First of all, congrats on 1 year of making some of the best, especially, you know, Tenmark, he's got several good points, but my favorite videos that he's done are the intro to the Workbench videos. Because I didn't know crap about the Workbench before. Whenever I was using a real Amiga, I booted right into a game. Whenever I'm emulating the Amiga, I boot right into a game. I've had to do precious little things in Workbench, but I love learning about it. And once, if we ever get that 600 back, Aaron, I'm going to go to town. And Jason is making some progress.
Our man up in Canada is hard at work.
I may have some more news to report on that next week.
Oh, my.
So stay tuned.
Well, you know, before you leave the Tenmark thing, first of all, yes, congratulations on your 1 year. Tremendous. And what I liked, I don't know if you watched that video yet.
I haven't watched it.
It's he's a very humble fellow, but one thing I liked is he talks about all the various people that have contributed and helped him and given him advice and co-worked with him on projects. That's what I love to see. People, you know, one thing that we're very fortunate as well to have and be a part of is like the little Amiga community and some people that just dip their toe in the pool of Amiga, kind of all like hanging out together, working together, sharing information, like being supportive of everybody. You know, he mentioned Pixel Vixen and Retro Man Cave and Lafarius and He was nice enough to mention us. And Amigo in the Lake. It's nice that everyone's kind of pulling together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no idiot sort of inner fighting or inner turmoil, and that's what it should be. What are we doing here? It's supposed to be fun,
right?
You know? So I love that. I like the video; it was great, and I liked all his stuff this year. It's been a great year. He's put together a lot of good videos.
Well, he's keeping rolling. He's teamed up with Amiga on the Lake and the one and only Pixel Vixen, and they are going to do an Amiga art contest. So I've pulled up the poster here, and as you can see, the rules are simple. You can do whatever you want as long as it's done on an Amiga. So you can do 3D rendering or ray tracing if you want to do some photo editing in a creative way or doing some hand-drawn stuff. All you have to do is send it in to Douglas at dctechaz.com. You may want to double-check that email address.
It's Douglas, Douglas, at dctechaz.com.
Right.
Because I don't know what you were saying.
Well, I don't know either. But anyway, you can win a new copy of Personal Paint 7.3C donated by the fine folks at Amiga on the Lake.
And that's a current maintained paint program, isn't it?
Right. Done by the guy that does the Amiga Forever platform.
I believe you're right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's... Hey, and I will say also, our Amigo on the Lake, one of our sponsors for Amigathon, and a good bunch of guys, and I think they're doing really good work. Listen, when we first heard about them, did we think they'd be here today? We heard a couple years ago they were coming out. Let me be honest. Did you think they're going to be around?
No.
And when they're like, yeah, we're just selling mostly new Amiga stuff. I remember you were like, they're done, but they're getting it done.
I wasn't that dismissive.
You were.
I'm never
like
negative about the Amiga community. You know one thing about me.
Listen, I'm going to get you a shirt that just says AGA right on the front and make you wear it around, and then you can eat those words.
Next up, Aaron, I have been messaged by multiple people on this team to make sure that we cover this story this week, because this is one of the highlights of the year.
All right.
Every year, the Amiga community convenes and votes on the best demos of the year. This is an e-magazine called Versus. And this is from a story from Vintage is the New Old, but you can also get to this through another site called nucleus.nu, spelled cool guy style, N-U-K-L-E-U-S. You can vote on your favorite demos of the year. There's tons and tons of categories. The guys that emailed me said that you don't have to vote for every category. Vote for the ones you want, but of course more is better. This is really, the demo scene is more active, I'd say, on the Amiga than any other platform.
We're very lucky.
Yeah.
In fact, they were the last desperate breaths for a few of those tenuous years in between when it died and when it came back to life, basically.
Right.
So they were the ones beating the drum. So now what you're saying is we can go watch these, and
you can watch the demos and then you vote for them, and they've got all kinds of categories and things. So definitely check these guys out. And this is a magazine that comes out every so often. And this is, I guess this is the issue number 8. So they do more stuff than demos, but this is their big event for the year. It's sort of their Amigathon.
We watched some demos a couple years ago when they were doing this. We should watch all these and then give our synopsis.
We
of this.
should. That would be great.
Next week. Let's talk about it.
When's
the contest over? Does it say?
Do
we have time to do that?
I think that we've got time. I didn't check to see what time it was ended, but I think that we probably.
Because I have avoided. I haven't gotten in the demo scene as much as I should, given what it means to the community. Plus, every time I watch them, I love them.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm like, but I want to see that. It's
right.
Like, man, I just never get around to it.
Real-time follow-up from Tin Mark in the chat. I guess Cloanto sold Personal Paint in 2014 to Aeon, Trevor Dickinson's outfit.
There you go.
So,
well, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, that's make sure you check that out. And up next, this is just a field report from the Winchester Amiga user group. They just had their September 2019 meeting, and what a meeting it was. I mean, this really looks almost as cool as the Taze Valley Classic Computer Club.
What is going on there? The back of the
You've
table.
got Guru Anthony was not present except in his spirit
It looks
form.
like he has died, and his angel attended the meeting.
That's sort of what happened. So, but they were demoing the new beat 'em up.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. And there were some other new games, Black Dawn Rebirth, and then there's this puzzle game called Vegetables. And Amiga Bill just did a stream yesterday where he played this, and I can't wait to check it out because I love big, bright, colorful puzzle games.
Yeah, and the Guru guys are always great. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
The Guru guys are always great, and Bill is he's getting scoops left and right here recently. So yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah,
I didn't get to see. Look, there he is again. His spirit is lingering in these photos.
Yeah. So anyway, if you are in the New York area and you don't already know about the WOG, definitely check out their Facebook page and join them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in New York and you're an Amiga person, you haven't hooked up with Bill, are you nuts? My God,
right? Get
down there.
And finally, our good buddy Ravi a couple weeks ago had an unboxing video of the new graphics card for the Amiga. It's got a bunch of Z's and 9s in it. The ZZ9000.
It's got 1 9.
It's got 1 9, okay? But anyway, last week was kind of just an unboxing. This is where he actually fires this thing up. So he talks about how he puts it in his machine. And then you actually can see the glorious Amiga Workbench 3.1.
Oh, this is that Swiss Army knife card,
right,
isn't it? Yeah.
Right, in glorious high definition.
Yeah, I haven't got to see this yet, so that...
Yeah, this just came up, I think, today or yesterday. So
both. You need to buy an Amiga 2 or 3 or 4000.
I just need an Amiga 4000T, one of these expensive cards, and a couple Blizzard accelerators.
It's funny. I'm assuming you saw this. In fact, I know you did because you're coming on our Discord. Who was it that had said that they had came across? I don't want to give the city because I don't want somebody to come in here and clip the deal.
It was somewhere in Europe.
No, it was Milwaukee.
That's what I meant.
I just gave away the city.
I was trying to trick you into it.
Yeah. Anyway, those are mega rare. Mega rare. And this would be an ideal gimmick to stick in a tower case like that. You know, I had an Amiga 4000T at one point.
Yeah, and you sold it for about $100.
No, we got big money for it. But this is when I was sort of not really into the Amiga that much there for a while because there was nothing going on.
Right.
Yeah, it was shortly before we started the show. I also sold my copy of Flashback, a bunch of other dumb stuff. Speedball 2, I sold that. So, yeah, live and learn.
Live and learn. Well, Aaron, that wraps up this week's Amiga News Roundup. Why don't we head on over to Dreamcatcher's Corner to see what kind of madness he's been up to this week?
Dreamcatcher has an article up, and it's talking about, now, I've actually played, it's amazing. This is a game I actually have played, and I only played it just because I'd heard, it was sort of renowned for its crapperoo, and that's why I played it on Sinclair. This is his article here about Highlander. It's called Another Time McCloud.
Now, before we start in with this thing, Highlander, is it fantasy? Is it sci-fi? Is it neither?
Well, it's the first one I would say is fantasy. The second one I would say is absolutely sci-fi, and is hideous.
Which one has Sean Connery in it?
Both of them.
Oh.
The second one is one of the worst films and certainly one of the all-time worst sequels.
There was an MST3K of that, wasn't there?
There was. I don't know if they ever did it or not. It's horrible. They may have done like a riff tracks on it. Highlander. Now, you've never seen Highlander. We've talked this in the past.
No.
The premise of this movie, of course, there are immortals that walk the earth, and the only way the immortals can be killed is if their head leaves their shoulders.
Okay.
So it means you got to chop that sucker off. And so when that happens, whoever deals the killing blow will absorb their power. And at the end of the battling, all these guys will be all drawn together, whoever's left on Earth.
You know, it kind of reminds me of this book that I read one time called The Rune Lords, where people had their personality traits in these stones in their body. And when say you've got like the pretty stone, and then somebody could come and remove that stone from your body and give it to themselves, and then they would be more pretty and you would be super ugly.
Well, that's nothing like that, actually. Now, I don't think I'd want a stone in my body either. Is it worth being attractive to walk around with a stone stuck in you?
It was a different
Where'd they
time.
stick it at? I don't want to know. So, of course, this movie was a great flick. Soundtrack by Queen.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? Soundtrack awesome.
That's the Kroll helmet right there.
No, there was no Kroll involved. If that guy had Kroll, if he had the glaive in this, there would be no contest. He'd just cut their heads off
but
like
these
a mile
guys use
away.
like katanas, right?
They use swords, katanas, whatever they had sitting around. So anyway, great flick. I mean, I love this movie. It's so much fun, and it's just an interesting film.
Well, you know why the sequel is so bad, don't you?
because this movie shouldn't have had a sequel.
Yeah, there could be only one.
And there was. There was one, and then that was the end. But then the next one takes place in the future. It's in space. There's a shield. It's crap. So anyway, Dreamcatcher, as you can tell, as this has scrolled by for 10 minutes, goes in depth with the Highlander home game. Now, I have actually played this. I didn't realize there were this many versions, but I played it on the Spectrum. It's one of the first things I got when I got the Spectrum emulator. I've mentioned Simon Butler before, who's the sort of the cantankerous crank that sends in a commentary every month over on Retro Gaming Roundup. Sort of a super famous artist too. I mean, the guy's talented as heck, but it's admittedly, stuff bends him the wrong way. But anyway, he actually sadly did the graphics on the Spectrum version, and he's regretted it ever since. But in this game, it's just a horrible sort of like a weak version of Barbarian.
I was going to say it does look very Barbarian-esque.
Yeah, and it's funny. Necronom, I'd forgotten that this show did have a TV series based on it, which I thought was absolute crap. But some people loved it.
Where would you put it next to something like Xena?
Oh, it wasn't nearly as good as Xena or Hercules. No, it's not in the same ballpark. They had another McLeod, which, I mean, come on. There's already one guy that's an immortal with the McLeod. You got another guy. I always used to joke that no one talks about the third immortal in the McLeod family, Gavin McLeod, but he's out driving a Love Boat. No? You don't know who that is, do you? Yeah, it's not funny when you're not old. But anyway, good flick. Dreamcatcher does this thing. I also want to plug, I watched some of Dreamcatcher's videos this week. He's been sort of obsessed with, I will say his videos are almost always amusing, but not necessarily coherent. So he loves Cobra. He loves like these schlocky 80s like muscle-bound idiot like movies, and so there's some stuff with that up this week. He's a high production level guy, so I enjoyed it. Every time I watch it, I just chuckle. It's wacky. But yeah, don't ever play this game, by the way. I'm hoping it comes up on our Sinclair someday.
Oh, maybe so. All right, Aaron. Well, now that the preliminaries are done, let's jump right in to Project X.
Project X.
What if you go high?
That's awesome, man. That's what Dr. X's fans used to do.
Is he like Dr. Demento?
No, he's another masked wrestler. In fact, he had a T-shirt of himself that was one of the first T-shirts that a wrestler ever sold. He made tons of money out of it. Yeah.
That's a relatively new phenomenon, the wrestling T-shirt.
Not now, but yeah, back in those days. So let's talk about Project X. This is an interesting game. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation because I'm interested to hear you. I watched your first playthrough on this. So this game was released initially in 1992 and came on 4 big floppy disks. You had 2-player hot seat, and this was stuck out there by the immortal, the still around Team 17. Team 17 put together such classic games as Super Frog, your favorite, the Alien Breed series, which was one of these boxes I got.
Team 17 is right up there with the Bitmap Brothers and the most overrated developers on the Amiga of all time.
Because you're forgetting a few things like
Body Blues,
like Arcade Pool and Worms. Both of which are awesome.
Two good
that
games.
Shut you up, didn't it?
They had 2 good games.
No, they had more than 2. This game falls nicely into their pantheon. Now this was. It's funny. I looked up to see who this had. This, when Team 17 does a game, they've got the team on it. They're a team, right? And so you see the usual suspects in a lot of these games. The coder on this was a fellow named Andreas Tadic. Who worked, guess what? Alien Breed, Super Frog. Now there's 2 games here that I don't think I've ever played from Team 17 or that were made by a lot of the guys that did this game. One's called Miami Chase. Now, what was that game we called on?
Miami Cobra GT.
Yeah, it's not that. I don't know what Miami Chase is, and I also don't know what Full Contact is. Do those ring a bell to you?
No.
And that kept coming up a lot. The guy that coded this was Stefan Boberg, and the graphics man on this one was Rico Holmes. I like that name. Now, the musicians you may have heard of, a certain fellow named Alistair or Brimble.
He was cashing checks every single week.
Who, Brimble?
Yeah, man.
Listen, I just looked over all the massive tons of stuff he did. I just wrote down some stuff because everybody knows. But he did the Dizzy games on the Amiga, right? But here's some stuff you probably didn't know he did. Of course, he did Z-Wolf. Remember that? We looked at. He did the Mortal Kombat. That was him. And he also did Primal Rage and Lost Vikings.
Tons of stuff.
Yeah, tons of stuff. You also had, I'm assuming, like his relative Christopher Brimble worked on this, and you also had a fellow musician named Bjorn Lynn, who also worked on a bunch of the Team 17 stuff. Like I said, these guys are a team. Now you did have, I heard about this guy, and I wanted to look him up, and his name was Rob Northern. This guy, apparently, his contribution to a lot of the Team 17 games, and maybe some other companies, was the copy protection. He was a copy protection man.
Boy, I bet he was popular at parties.
I guess he wrote some guy. No kidding. This game worked on the ECS, OCS, and also only had one other release that I could find, which was a PC VGA version of the game.
Yeah, there is no AGA version of this game.
Yeah, now I believe you can get this on CD.
Yep. The Erock just did a CD32 port.
And so there was no official release.
No.
When I tried to find one, I couldn't find it. Now Erock also, I saw his version fixed a lot of flaws.
Well, most of the flaws were fixed in the special edition that was officially released by Team 17 in '93.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that one. What is Project X? Okay, it's not a complex game. It's a side-scrolling world and escape with your life. All right. In fact, we just covered a shooting game a couple months ago that had the exact same purpose. I'm telling you what it was.
Disposable Hero, right?
It was. Yeah, I think you're right. Basically, the backstory of this thing. I read the docs. Military scientists have disposed of countless defective military droids on an uncolonized planet called Rex, RYXX. Let me tell you something. Why would you do that, you idiots? Well, Guess what happened? You know what always happens? The droids became sentient, and guess what? They start attacking mankind. Stupid droids, you make these guys, just because you dump them, they get pissed. So you've got to go and eliminate the droid forces and then blow up the planet you sent them on. I don't know if you read that. Did you?
I did. And the game also gives you a little backstory and a text screen.
Yeah, it does. It has sort of like, I guess you'd call them.
It's a cutscene.
It's I wouldn't call them
for
that.
the Amiga, it is.
Well, listen to you. Don't get nasty now. So. This game, a lot of people compare this game to the Gradius series or Salamander because of the power-up system. Now, I'll tell you, the power-up system in this is almost... This game reminded me an awful lot of Alcon / Slap Fight. And the reason I say that as opposed to the others is because the power-up system, the stuff you actually power up, is almost exactly the same stuff in that game. You've got the speed is your first thing, then you've got side shot, you've got missiles, you've got the different types of guns, and at the end you've got the invulnerability. It's exactly what it is in Alcon. The only difference in this is there's a level of power you can get where where you hold the shot down and build that up, and that didn't have that in Alcon.
Right.
And a couple shots a little bit different, but they're different. Like Magma didn't have that, but it's like a different type of forward shot.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, that you've just described most shooters.
But I'm just saying it's exactly the same thing. So I wonder if they didn't at least have a look at Alcon when they were putting this together. So as you journey from left to right on the screen with your ship, you encounter these various droids in various forms, and you've got to blow them up. And when you blow them up, if you blow up like an entire wing of these things, they will drop a power-up. And these things will advance your power, your cursor one slot on your power line at the bottom of the screen. And when you get the power you want, hit the space bar, or at least the version I was playing, and you can you'll get that power. There's a goodly amount of powers that you can get. Like I said, I kind of breezed over them. You've got speed up. And that just makes your ship faster. You can get, and by the way, you can get multiples of these. All right.
Right.
You've got your gun. Your standard gun, just a gun, and then but if you juice it up, you get more shots coming out faster and coming out in different directions. Then you've got build up, and again, that's if you hold the button down.
Right.
You won't always get that.
Yeah, and it's also if you have rapid fire turned on.
Right. You can't
use it.
Yeah, and which we'll cover that, I guess. Then side shots is simply shooting up and down, right, which is helpful. Then you've got plasma, which is just bolts that come out. Then you've got missiles, and you get multiple missiles. Now, I will say these guided missiles, these heat seekers, these are garbage. This is the worst missile system I've ever seen.
I mean, they sort of work like the homing missiles in Worms, where
Yes.
it's a sort of meandering path.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And you can tell the same people did them.
Yeah.
Because these missiles have worm-like, that's exactly what they're like. You hope they lock on this other, but all of them, they just fly away.
Yeah.
And you can have multiple missiles, and it's depressing
And
to
it's
see them
funny
fly
because
off.
you see them trying. Like, they're trying their hardest to connect with their target.
They'll just leave the screen. Now, the only time the missiles I found to be really handy is if you're fighting a stationary target something that just moves right on the screen slowly. They can usually hone in. After that, you're hoping they work. Then you've got the laser. It's just a long, straight laser. Then you've got the magma, which shoots a big fireball. And then you've got stealth, and stealth is basically the invulnerability gimmick that it'll last for like 30 seconds or something like that. So it's pretty good. Now, Boat mentioned this, and we should probably go ahead and cover it. Is that the option screen list is very important. You don't even know that unless you either read the instructions or just figure it out. By default, at least on mine, rapid fire is turned on. Is that what's that? So if you've got rapid fire, I couldn't figure out what build meant.
I just figured it out when you said it just a second ago.
Oh, I figured it out.
I didn't know.
I thought when I first started playing, I was like, well, maybe this gives me extra hit points.
Because there's no way I'm not playing this game without rapid fire.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I did play with that rapid fire just to try out build. And guess what? I was really tired and I got murdered. So which effectively makes build up not that useful.
Right.
And I'm sure some people that are really good at this game use it. And I can see where it can be handy in certain instances because a lot of the bad guys have like one small weak point when it opens up, and you really need the most powerful shot you can get. But usually I would just use like I would use the lasers or the plasma.
Well, the thing that I liked about this game is in a lot of shooters, you choose one power up, and so you've constantly got to be like, well, what do I want in this situation? Do I want to have the Mega Blaster or do I want the side shot? With this game, you could get everything. You just collect enough of those things.
Well,
and you can build
except
the
for
ultimate.
your shots, you can't have like magma and plasma.
And I was not a fan of magma or plasma.
I liked plasma. Would you like lasers?
No, I'm sorry. I like the green thing. What's the green thing?
That right there.
That's plasma, right?
Yeah.
I stopped at plasma.
Yeah,
laser
that's what I
was
like.
no good.
Laser
Magma was less than
well,
no good.
laser was cool. It looked cool. But
it had limited functionality.
I'm the same with you.
Yeah.
Something else amongst the other things you could pick in your options, or the difficulty level, and you could also pick which music you hear. Now, I will say, when this game boots up, wow, what an awesome tune it comes up.
It's a nice. I mean, for a shooter, you want to have something that gets you going, and this really does.
The problem is now, and it's funny. I watched. I could only get to the second level of this. Okay, now I did cheat eventually and got a little further, but it would cheat, and my cheat wasn't like I could just do whatever I wanted. I would just get killed over and over and over. So I didn't get to go that far. But on the version I had, I didn't get any in-game music. All I got was the intro. But I watched playthroughs where guys got music.
They must have added it in.
They must have, because I didn't get any music. And how the heck did that happen?
Well, it's the same way all the Lotus playthroughs on YouTube have in-game music.
No, you're missing my point. How do they not have in-game music?
Because it's the freaking Amiga, man.
No, the Amiga.
That's what they do. They don't put it in-game music.
That's not true. Sometimes they do.
And then they blame it on multiple audio channels and sound effects.
Sometimes they have in-game music, and it's awesome.
The good games they do.
Well, I think this is a pretty decent game, but no music, especially at that opening. You're like, when you hear that opening, you're like, I'm going to kill some stuff.
It's exactly like Lotus.
Now,
and you're like, oh man, and then you start playing, and it's just dead silence.
Something this game had that I thought was specifically added for you was the ability to go from the rave music to the old guy music.
I did enjoy that. I thought that was quite humorous.
And did you try old guy music?
I like old guy music too.
I like both.
I like both too.
They're both good. They're both really good tunes. So you can play an arcade. You can play this. There are a couple of different ways you can play this. I just turned everything down to I knew this game. I had played this before, and I knew it was like rock hard. I mean, super hard, and it was. First impressions. I've rambled on for a while. Give me your thoughts earlier on.
Okay, well, this is an example of a game that I turned on the cheats too early. I tried to play it a couple times, and I was not being successful. And instead of sort of sticking it out, learning how the power-up system worked and trying to do better, I was like, screw it. I'm going right for the cheats. Part of that was that when you turn on the level select and WHG load, it automatically turns the cheat on, and you can't do anything about it. So, because I wanted to see the other levels, so I did a playthrough of this, and
Hilarious.
and I just kind of blasted my way through with max power ups. I ended up beating the game. The ending is horrible, by the way.
I thought it looked pretty cool.
It's a screen of text.
What about the planet exploding?
The planet doesn't explode.
On the playthrough I watched, at the end the planet blows up.
No, I mean your game over screen is like a lava or like a geyser thing.
No, the planet exploded in the one I watched.
Maybe I hit the button too soon. I don't know.
That sounds like you.
But anyway, so I didn't understand the power-up system, and I was like, this is not that great.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I just had this feeling, and there's something about this game that drew me back. This doesn't normally happen.
Because I will say, watching that first play, you were killing this game.
Yeah.
I mean, killing it dead.
You know, I kept thinking about it. I couldn't get it out of my head, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this game another shot, and I'm not gonna turn on the cheats, and I'm just gonna see how far I can get. Well, lo and behold, I figured out how the power-up system worked, and that changed the game completely for me.
Yeah, so you had max powers the whole time you played it the first time.
Right.
Well, no wonder. Eh?
Right. And so this is the hard version. Now, however, I did turn the rookie mode on.
Yeah.
I did turn that on. But I was playing the non-special edition, the non-fixed version. I managed to get all the way to the first boss.
Yeah.
I mean, for me,
when you say first boss, you mean the thing that you had to go around with shooting
no,
out stuff? Or do you
I'm
mean
talking
the
about the actual first boss.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to know.
So
that ship that goes
right.
Yeah.
Now, and I'll tell you something else. When you face a boss, what happens? Did you ever get to a boss?
Yeah,
this?
I got to a boss.
Well, if you really did, you'd notice that music starts playing.
Yeah.
Okay. That shows that it wasn't the extra audio channels or anything like, Amiga apologists will tell you. It's the fact that they just didn't put it in the game for reasons that are unknown.
Well, or there could be reasons due to the amount of things moving around on the screen. It could be something like that. It was also the fact that the screen stopped scrolling whenever you're playing the boss.
Maybe so. Maybe the Amiga was just too weak hardware-wise.
Oh my God! Listen to you. Oh, listen. Give me a break. I don't see this out in the.
I'm sorry. This is an inexcusable thing for me. Well, I will never cease to bury developers that don't put background music in their games.
It was surprising, because also consider this game has a rep for having real awesome music, which it does. It is unfortunate.
Yeah. Now Duncan Styles brings up a great point. When the music starts, the constant drone in the background stops.
Yeah.
That was a shame when that constant drone.
I couldn't figure out what exactly that was.
I think they were trying to simulate your engine. Which, that's what I need, maybe. I will say the sound design in this game is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
The sound, not only does each weapon have a different sound, but the sound of your bullets hitting different types of enemies is different depending on the type of enemy that you're facing. So there are these big, they look like pepper shakers that rotate. When you're firing your weapons on those, you'll hear a little ting, 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 like it's hitting metal.
Yeah.
Other kinds of more organic enemies, you don't get that sound. Excellent sound design. Just inexcusable lack of background music.
This game for me, I did pretty well at it actually. I managed to get to the second level. I beat the first boss.
Mm-hmm.
It took a while. And this is before I wasn't cheating either.
And I'll tell you. I'm sorry. Can I talk a little bit more?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I wanted to say one more thing. The thing about this game, my main dig at it, aside from the background music, is that the levels are too long, and the bosses start to just feel like a chore. That first boss, it wasn't hard, but because you had such a small window to hit it, it just took forever, and I just got tired of trying to concentrate on it. That was my main problem. These levels are about twice as long as they need to be, and they start repeating content. Like you'll get to like halfway through the stage, and then the stage, it's almost like it just restarts again, and you start facing those same opening group of enemies again. I will say, in the positive, that your ship looks fantastic. The enemies are drawn well. They animate well. They do come at you in rather elementary sort of geometric waves. They don't really have organic attack patterns, but they look nice. It's very R-type. It's very R-type.
It's sort of like this is a step above the enemies,
Mm-hmm.
Their entry is a step above, say, Blood Money or High Risk. They're still not that great, but it's a little better.
I think that I'll have to go back and look at Blood Money again.
They do get better from what I can tell. You went through the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will say, for example, the fire level, when those birds, those fireworks, those are pretty cool. And the way they've got them coming up, and stuff, I think it looks pretty looks kind of neat.
It's funny because Angus Arthur is a YouTube commenter, and he always talks about how parallax scrolling affects the color palette. And this is a game with no parallax. It's got no parallax scrolling, but the backgrounds and the foregrounds are both very, very lush. The ship and the enemies both look great. I will take that over parallax any day of the week.
Well, I mean, I think it's situational. I mean, I don't think you should have to have parallax.
No.
It's not that big a deal. We should mention, by the way, one of the other things you can do in your options menu is change the type of ship you want. They've got, I think it was 3 different types. There's like an average ship, and there's 3 different, they've got their stats. Did you ever fool around with trying any other ships?
That's my one regret, is that I didn't spend any time going through the other ships.
You could tell a difference, but I mean, it didn't. I just usually stuck with the. I thought that was odd that they would stick that in the options menu too. Why not have that as you start the game?
I'd like to have that right up front, and maybe a little bit more fleshed out too.
Yeah, I thought that was strange. So, and there was this is some weird stuff. Like we're watching as we talk. Boat's got a video playing, and these sequences here, which I never got to, but you played through them. These don't hit the wall. What did you think about those?
Well, the cheats didn't help me there.
Right.
When the action got fast and furious, I died very soon. So, but the thing is, these are basically bonus levels. If you die, I'm not even sure. I guess it's a score increaser. They're sort of uninspired, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. So this thing has 5 levels. Now this version does. Now you've got your that space level, and then you've got sort of the mountain level. There's a fire level. There's a level where you go underwater, and then there's a level where you go and take out like the planet's reactor. You bomb it. I thought the fire level was the coolest looking one to me.
Really?
Yeah, it looked. I think as we watch it now, it looks awesome.
There is it is very nice shading.
And also, I thought the enemies looked cool. I just thought it was a cool looking level. The water level was kind of weird because your ship would dip in and out of the water.
And I could never figure out if it handled differently or not, or if it was just my mind playing tricks on me.
Yeah. The ship itself, I thought it could have been a little cooler looking. And I will say, I absolutely hate the way you die. Because when you die, your ship sort of fire comes out the back and it sort of careens off the screen.
Yeah.
It's almost, I wish there was a way that you could save it. Because one thing this game doesn't give you is hit points. I mean, when you're through, you're through.
It's a one-hit kill, yeah.
And that is, those type of games are difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Now, I think Alcon is similar to this. In Alcon, when you die, you don't lose your power-ups though. You just get knocked back one level.
No, you lose every power-up.
Oh, okay, because in this game, you just get knocked back a level.
Right.
You still keep some of them.
You're still screwed.
Yeah.
Wait, something now, and I asked people in chat, and I asked you as well, since you went through the entire game. In the first level, it was like a glorious bounty of power. I had everything. I was King Dong.
Right.
All right. But as I got through that level, and it took me, I had to do it. Now, when I said I didn't cheat, I did cheat to the point where I would use a save point after I got past a certain guy. That way, because I fought that end boss 20,000 times. That guy sucked. And so when I got to the next level, it didn't seem like the power-ups were coming out like that. Is that something that happens as you go forward?
Well, that's what, like I said, when I got to the second level, I had all the cheats turned on, so I wasn't noticing. But from what I've read both on Discord and on Lemon is that the main problem with the difficulty in this game isn't so much the enemies, it's just the lack of ability to power your ship up to the point where you can actually defeat them. Because you have to have a certain level of gun to be able to actually beat these enemies before they just fly off the screen. You won't be able to hit them enough times before they disappear. And that's really the big flaw.
And it's funny because if you look at the docks, and also it says, I believe it says when you pick your ship, certain ships have the ability to have a higher arsenal, but they move more sluggishly. And so there's that. Like I said, I always went with the normal ship, except for a few times where I tried the other two, and I'm not sure I got far enough to where it even mattered. But I guess there could be something there. Like I said, I wish that was a more prominent part of the game, because I didn't even know that until I'd played it a bunch of times. I just happened to be wandering around looking at the option screen. Overall,
you know what would have been great?
Yeah.
Is if they would have put your character, your ship select, and given each ship a pilot too, to kind of personalize it even more.
Oh my! That would. It's sort of like what you're talking there is a some super customization.
It would be like Hybris.
Well, yeah, but that pilots don't mean anything in Hybris.
Well, it wouldn't have to mean anything here.
It'd
but
be
it
like
would
One
just-
Must Fall when you pick your
Yeah.
pilot and your mech. And it does
Classic game.
It makes a big difference. Let's just talk turkey here. And we've been beating around the bush here. This thing is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds good, except for the music. Lack of music. It's got 5 pretty expansive levels. I mean, ridiculously expansive. It's got some pretty nice elements. There's a lot to like here. So, did you like the game? Because in your first video, you hated the game.
I'm going to shock you, maybe.
All right.
I think this might be my favorite shooter on the Amiga.
That doesn't shock me in the least. You say that often. So why you were killing this thing before? So it's just the power up.
Well, no, I mean, it's no Gradius 3. Like you can take any Super Nintendo game released, 2 or 3 years before this, and it will kill it because the Japanese know how to do shooters. But on this platform, I have not had as much fun playing any other shooter that I can think of than I did playing this game. Now, is this the best looking shooter on the Amiga? I don't think so. I still think Disposable Hero looks better overall.
This is pretty good looking.
But this looks really good. It looks really good. And I prefer the color palette on this game. Like Banshee is a game that people mention a lot. And of course, it's a different kind of game. It's a horizontally scrolling or vertically scrolling. But the colors, I just hate the color scheme in that game so much. I love the brighter colors on this game. The power-up system, I think, is better on this game. I just really can't think of another game that I like as much on the Amiga that's in the shooter realm.
It's a beautiful game. I'm really torn on this one. I was in the car coming up here. I was like, man, wow, how do I feel about this game? It's got so much going for it. But do I enjoy this more than, say, I'm trying to think of the elite game, like a Banshee or a Battle Squadron.
Battle Squadron's good too.
Battle Squadron is also a difficult game. I do like the power-up system, and it's again, this is the same. I love Alcon so much. It's like I said, it reminded me an awful lot of Alcon, and the difficulty. It is difficult, but I think all those games are pretty hard. Now,
there's not a lot of easy shooters.
You said
anywhere.
You played the budget release. The 93.
Yeah.
Now, you found this made a major difference?
Well, no. In fact, I planned to, and I just forgot to go back and actually look up what the differences are. Do you have anything in your notes other than they made it easier?
Well, it's got shorter levels.
Okay.
And it's missing a level.
To be honest with you,
and they put it on fewer discs.
I sort of had fatigue because I just kind of picked it up at the end. I think I noticed that the first level was a little bit shorter because I just played the first level. Right. But to me, playing on rookie mode, which I guess with rookie mode, I don't think you can get. There are certain things that are locked out, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, but I thought that if they would have just released this game as rookie mode, it would have been pretty good.
It's funny that they actually released, from what I was able to ascertain, they had a Project X. They released an actual kind of an updated edition of this before they released the special edition in '93. But in '93, again, they cut down the amount of discs. It is a budget release.
Okay.
And you have a shorter level. They removed some difficult areas of the game, and they reduced the amount of disc swapping.
Well, I think that's fantastic.
And they released it. Well, getting rid of the last level kind of sucks. But I'm assuming when they say that, I'm assuming they meant the level where you bomb, which that wasn't a whole lot of. That's not a huge deal,
right?
If you're going to get rid of one, I wish this game. Really wish that you had the ability to get shields or something that would jack up your hit points more than just the invulnerability. I'd like that. If you're going to make a game this hard, then I would like to have some chance of success.
I can't remember. Is R-Type a one-hit kill? It is, isn't it? It has to be.
I can't. I think it is. Last we played, I can't remember.
I think the life bar was a later thing. I just don't think there were that many games.
Well, I mean,
from this
and
era
I will say, like I said, Alcon and those other games, they didn't have one either. I like this game. I like there were things that were definitely things I would change. But overall, I thought it was. I think it's probably. I'm trying to think if I like the side. Those look ridiculously tough.
Yeah.
And not in a fun way either,
No.
just like a bad way. And I think this goes back to what you're saying about the Japanese with their shmups. And this is not a bullet hell shmup by any chance, but I mean I don't like that angle where you have to like go in the thing. It's not that good. And I can see if you got to certain areas and you didn't have like the right power ups, you'd be screwed.
Right.
So there's that. So I mean, if you don't mind getting frustrated by a game, then this is your cup of tea, then I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, I think it holds up well against the other big heavy hitters on the
and we should mention the IROC CD32 conversion, which I did load up as well, and it basically has level select built in. It doesn't turn on all the cheats for you, but it does start you. And I don't know, like I said, I was sort of in a daze. I don't know if I picked a different ship, because somebody was telling me if you pick a different ship, you start with double guns.
Well, in the 93, your ships you begin the game with better ships. So there's that. Now, you may or may not know this. I'm just gonna throw this in because I thought it was interesting. This game actually had a sequel. I don't know if you looked into it at all.
No.
It was a Europe and Japan. It's a European and Japanese exclusive on the PlayStation. Believe it or not.
Somebody in the chat did mention that.
And it was called X2. Now I actually watched the opening of this game, and I watched some of the gameplay. And I was like, the opening is it's a guy at home, and this chick pops up on the screen. She's like, "Listen, we need you. You got to come out of retirement." And she is a video. It's a video of a girl talking, but he's rendered, and he looks like somebody just took a ball bat, just beat him like in the face. It's
that early PlayStation era rendering. Yeah.
And so the opening of this game is her giving him a briefing while he's driving his sleek sports ship down the road, and he's running into stuff. He runs into cars. He turns a corner. I'm like, this guy's gonna save the world. Then it shows him getting his ship and like take off. It looked not that great, and it didn't review that well. I will say it came out in '96 in Europe and '97 in Japan, I believe it was. And guess what? You'll be stunned to learn that it also had a reputation for being super duper hard.
Sure.
So I guess that was part of the mystique of this game. So I looked into the reviews on this. Now, I don't know how much and it's funny because I bought this game.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, I paid $20 shipped. I worked the deal.
You don't even have to do this segment.
In fact, it was this segment's fault that I bought the game because I was looking at the eBay price. I was like, that's a pretty good game. And I was like, man. It was like one of those or best offer deals. And so I thought, I'll just put in some lowball offer. And bam, I took it to the house.
That's awesome, man.
So I got this game for $20 shipped. Your mileage may vary. That's here in the States. The reviews on this were, guess what, fairly positive, although they weren't all positive. Amiga Action, it's one of those times they reviewed it twice in a year. Both times they gave it a 91%. Amiga Format gave this a 75%. They weren't impressed, man. Amiga Mania, it's running wild, 92%. Amiga Power, 78%. Like I said, there's some outliers there. CU Amiga, 92, and the One gave it a 90. And I should mention that the people over at Lemon, and the Lemon people are pretty generous when it comes to these rings. They gave it a 7.77. Now, they did give Special Edition a higher score, 8.
This is one of the few times that I absolutely agree with the Lemon folk. And this is a solid, just because of the difficulty, a solid B game. I couldn't give this game an A just because of the difficulty.
Right now you were doing your Amiga platform.
Yeah, the ranking of Amiga platformers.
Which it continues unabated. I submit to you, Boatster, that upon completion of this task, it's time to jump right into Amiga shoot-'ems or shmups.
Yeah.
There's plenty of interesting contenders out there for the crown.
That's true.
And I would wager this would be amongst them.
Yeah.
Now, is this a SWIV level game or a Banshee? It's up to your personal taste that they can shoot.
Yeah, and I don't even consider SWIV as part of the conversation because it's a port. It's an arcade port.
SWIV?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Silkworm was the port. SWIV's not.
Ever since we did those two in the same episode, I've gotten them confused.
Yeah. Silkworm was awesome, by the way.
I can't remember what SWIV is.
It's like Silkworm, except it's vertical instead of horizontal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We did get some Discord reviews. We got the most Discord reviews we've ever gotten for any game ever.
Let's see if they're gonna. Now, but overall, you give this big thumbs up.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and I give it marginal thumbs up.
Chrisful says decent graphics, pumping Euro dance music all make this an audio-visual treat. However, the original version is so crazy hard, it's not even fun to play. So much so that they made an update to try and resolve it. The 93 version addresses some of this, but making it somewhat easier but still frustratingly hard without cheats. I've seen only the second area once. This update was released after shooting greats such as Axley, UN Squadron, Thunder Force 4, and Lightning Force had come out.
Yep. We didn't mention any of those.
No. They had the reference material. They just needed to recreate it for the Amiga and failed. 5 out of 10. Yeah.
I owned UN Squadron at one point, believe it or not.
It's one of the greats, right?
It's an arcade port.
Project X review by Figgy CTZ. This is one of the first games I played on the Amiga, and making me want one might make me incapable of giving this a fair review, but I will give it a go. The awesome music of Alistair Brenble and Bjorn Lind, written to make you excited and raise your heartbeat when you're looking at the start screen before the game launches. Project X in huge letters is covering the screen, and a really well-designed typeface that later became Team 17's trademark makes for the menus. That's interesting that Team 17 just took that font. Once you hit start game, you're immediately thrown into bullet hell. I don't know, maybe bullet heck.
Bullet heck.
Yeah. It's a bit frustrating dying over and over again within the first minute, but once you get the hang of it and memorize the patterns, it's a lot of fun. The full game is maybe less than an hour, but getting through more than halfway, it's damn near impossible. I really enjoy the weapon upgrades and having to hit the spacebar. It's a great way of breaking up the game. You have to take your hand away from the joystick and get it back to it as quickly as possible. The graphics for its time are really out of this world great. It's hard to think of an Amiga game in the same genre that has the same amount of detail, even counting Agony.
Yep.
All in all, a really great game for its time. Great music, great graphics, and great but hard as nails gameplay. An Amiga classic, 8 out of 10.
You know, Figure reminded me of something. Two things actually. Number one, did you use the space bar for your selection of the weapon?
No, I used WHD, which gave me a second button.
That would be the way to go. And I will say something.
Go ahead.
I forgot to mention is that a lot of times there's so much going on. It is tough occasionally to see the enemy's fire.
Well, let's talk about. I can't believe I forgot to mention this because this was one of my gripes with the game. By default, I don't believe I'd be able to play this game because I'm what you call a joystick juker. I'm juking that stick back and forth, okay? Well, guess what triggers the special ability in this game?
The wobble.
Yeah.
That's in the docks. And that was a bone of contention which Hybris does a very similar technique.
But that's a 360. I mean, you've got to work to do a 360 with the stick.
I used to do it accidentally all the time.
Maybe so.
That's a limitation of the format is when you have one button and you need two buttons.
Putting it on the space bar and leaving it be.
Yeah.
Or putting it on the second player controller, hit the fire button on second player controller, much better.
This is one of the many times where being a modern vintage gamer, if you will, is beautiful because they've doctored this up now to where you can use your multiple buttons, and it would be. I use the spacebar every time. That's just the way I did it. But because I actually didn't even bother. I just used my Wiko, but. A second button would make it easier, but I will say hitting the spacebar, I can screw you in this game, because you have to move your hand off the joystick. So
we got another review from Duncan Styles.
The Dunk.
He says, one of my go-to games despite being brutally difficult. I love this game for the effort that was put into it. It's been polished within an inch of its life and boasts some very impressive technical specs. Music and graphics are top-notch. Gameplay seems to rely on you getting all early ship upgrades and keeping them.
Yeah.
If your ship wasn't degraded as punishment for losing a life, this game would be less frustrating. Seems mean to send you back to the same wave that bested you with a less capable ship. Absolutely.
That's true.
Good job the Amiga didn't have wireless controllers back in the day, or they may have ended up going out the window. I'll keep playing it though. 7 out of 10 for the original and 8 out of 10 for the special edition. Lob Sterminator says, I'm really bad at side-scrolling shooters and often fail to finish even the first stage in them. Project X is difficult, but unlike most similar games, I find myself coming back to it and enjoying the gameplay, especially on rookie mode. I still don't get very far, but that doesn't matter. The controls are responsive, and with enough power-ups, there is a satisfying bullet hell feeling. It's strange that you can choose between two musics and not have any in-game music.
Yes.
That is. If I could only ask one question to the developers, I would ask them that.
It is strange, yes.
Graham W. Vebke says, this is a horizontal shooter with mostly predictable waves of enemies and a difficulty curve that scales the further you get, but it's not as difficult as other shooters we've covered. The controls are great and the power-up system is a bit weird. It's just a shame there's no music other than the title screen. The sound effects work well and the art is excellent, but that isn't enough to make me want to keep playing this shooter over some other shooters. 6.5 out of 10. Direct from Sweden, Barkbit Project X review. A game that blew my mind as a kid. One of the best looking shooters on the Amiga. A game that requires memorization, fast reflexes, and a good joystick. Better put away that ergo garbage.
That's what I used, man. It was the best.
I used to play this with a TAC-2 with the mouse right beside it to select weapons with.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Now I use a Raspberry Pi with a Bluetooth controller, which I find much harder because of slight lag. Never got past the 3rd level, but I kept and keep coming back for more. 8 out of 10. And finally, Deckard Threepwood says, this is a game I have no nostalgia for. How did I miss it? One of the best shooters on the Amiga. Awesome soundtrack, beautiful visuals, and gameplay is slick. An addictive but difficult game that makes you come back for more. Like a lot of games in this era, there's no level select or load function, so once you've died, you've got to start at the beginning. The only thing that lets this game down. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, we got a lot of the 8 out of 10 seem to be the predominant review. Oh, by the way, I want to thank Mr. Threepwood there, who actually, he's the one that built that awesome SD card image I've been using on my Amiga. And so
very
I actually
cool.
at his generosity, I actually was playing off his card when I played this on the actual Amiga.
Oh.
I like this game. And you know, I think the lasting appeal that gives it a little bit of a nudge over a lot of games of this type is that awesome weapon system. You know, obviously they didn't come up with it, but it's used well. It makes the game fun. I don't necessarily like all the weapons that they give you, but I like enough of them to make it interesting. And it is a beautiful game. It's like playing a demo almost. It's very lovely.
Yeah.
If only you had the rock and rave music.
Absolutely. Well, Aaron, I just want to remind all of the fine folks out there that if you want to get your review read on the air, all you have to do is join our Discord community. Come join us. Support the show on Patreon. Discord is freaking awesome, like we talked about earlier. Last week, Aaron, the Patreon song of the week, the supporter song of the week. We had a ton of people who got this one right. Okay. I went hardcore into the college music. Would you say this was college music?
I don't even remember what it was. I'll be honest.
It was
with you.
"Enjoy the Silence" by Depeche Mode.
Oh yes, and you really tipped your hat. You tipped your hand last week.
Because I said this is by a band that sucks.
Do you really think that?
Yes, I really despise Depeche Mode except for like 3 songs, and they're okay.
Listen, give me a break.
It's the guy's voice, Dave Gahan. I
like
think
that
is
guy.
his name.
He's got an interesting voice.
He does have an interesting
It's
voice.
manly.
Yeah, I don't like manly voices.
Never gonna give you up.
Yeah, I like voices that sound like olive oil.
Which you would have loved the 20s. They were coming out of the woodwork back in those days.
Everybody talked like that in the 20s. It was what you did.
I'm not even gonna try it. I can't. I'm too manly to pull it off.
So we had the winners of the Supporter Song Challenge from last week. Congratulations, one and all. Michael Ryan, Bossman Harrington, Harry Howard, Tragard, Barkbit, Gary Heather, Kilobytes and Caffeine, Paul Marfleet, and Matthew Perron.
Very good. Well done, gentlemen. All Depeche Mode fans.
Absolutely, maybe.
And who can blame them?
Definitely.
Clear the pipes. Clear the pipes.
Warm up. Sometimes I like to give the old Vokes a little massage. That's what I call them, the Vokes.
Sexy.
If you know the answer to this week's supporter song, send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com. It would be super awesome, even if you're on Discord, to send me an email, because sometimes I get a Discord message and I click on it and then it goes away forever and I forget that you answered. So I don't want to miss anybody. john@amigospodcast.com. Here we go. Kilobytes and Caffeine, Mike W. Deckard Threepwood, Gary Heather, Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator Craig, McClellan, 10-minute Amiga, Retrocast, Counting, Virtual Sheep, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim, Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Letter, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Sean Zoe, Darren Lowe, Max Collin, 419, Bobby Rolling Book, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Leaf Canaan, Alec Kebab, Jacote, Level Door, Doodle Jamba, So Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRose, Creepy Dead Boy Figgy, CTZ. The Slow Norris, Stefan Sorgan, Mortensen, Edvin Helen, Blendo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Foles Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Vebke Lane, Denson Adam Batters B, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, C. Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles from the Crypt, Josh Dan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THG, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy, Humbert Star, Daniel Bankston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Worms, Pixels at Dawn, and Gilbjorn Barman.
Man, that was... I think I got it, but it wasn't worth getting it.
Well, I only switched keys about 6 times.
I like Steve's comment there. Just tuned in, coworker is like, what WTF is that? Apologize to your coworker, Steve. Otherwise, they might think you lost your mind.
You know, sometimes when I go into my upper register, I just never know. I never know what's going to happen.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's really how I got famous.
Let me tell you something. The register's empty, pal. Holy moly.
Have you ever thought about getting into collecting classic cash registers?
No. It never occurred to me.
You just seem like a kind of guy.
I know some people collect adding machines.
Yeah,
know?
Gary Hucker's got a huge calculator collection.
Well, adding machines are big, huge monstrosities.
So are old calculators.
Trust me, you ever held an old like 1960s or 50s adding machine? It weighs like a ton. It's like this big.
What do you do in holding 60s adding machines?
My granny had a bunch of them. Don't ask. I don't know why she had them.
Did you inherit them?
No. I don't need those.
Put them in a tote under the pinball machine.
Oh, God. Too late. Hey, you know, but before you ground it down, I just want you to touch on these. You should mention your videos that you posted this week, which we didn't really touch on them.
Thank you for reminding. We should just do a quick roundup of what's been going on
because you've been putting some quality stuff
on
up
the site.
Look at that geek.
Yeah, look at this guy. This guy, this is a little inside baseball here at the end of the show. This guy was supposed to be telling me about introducing live control room for live streaming. I clicked on the link and got the YouTube equivalent of a 404. So something tells me the new live control room for live streaming is still in beta.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But anyway, let's talk about our channel, Aaron. I'm going to click on the Your Channel button here to get to our channel.
I've been there.
This week, Aaron, first up, right out of the gate.
I haven't even seen that.
Gary Hucker.
Cool.
The Huck is back. And he's talking about he's talking about this ad. He's talking about the Amiga G-Lock GVP Genlock. Okay?
Look at that handsome devil.
Oh, man. If I looked like him,
look at all those Amigas
I wouldn't have gotten
there.
married.
He's going to knock that island over with that stack of Amigas he's got sitting back there.
Yeah. So, did you ever mess around with Genlock stuff back in the day?
I never did have the cash to play with that stuff.
I'm sure it was pretty expensive.
I knew a
it?
guy that had a nice little setup, but I didn't have one.
I think this was mostly used to kind of overlay titles over films and things like that, home movies. So, Gary goes through, puts this thing through its patience. It's patience. It's impatience. It's flowers.
Aces.
Yeah. So check that out. Gary's hardware videos are always can't miss.
Do you remember those? And you probably don't, but they used to run these commercials for the Amiga back in the day, and they'd be like, it would be these kids next door to this girl they liked, and they'd be pretending to put on a TV show, and they'd be using the Amiga and all that stuff. I thought, my God, this is amazing. I'm on the edge of technology. And it's so passé. I mean, it can't be undersold how incredible that Genlock stuff were. It was unbelievable stuff back in the day.
Yeah, for sure.
And the video toaster, forget about it.
That was the pinnacle.
I thought, holy cow.
I did did a couple of videos on Project X from this past week.
Yes,
you can watch the original playthrough, and you can watch. Boy, these are not well liked videos. I think the Project X fans are coming out of the woodwork.
I would watch the first one, and where both it just. I was screaming at the screen. What are you doing? Why are you killing it? It's funny that you come back. That's why I was so stoned. You're like, it's the best thing I've ever seen.
I did. I enjoyed it tremendously.
You really are. You're like all over the map. I got to get you a mood ring so I can see what's going on.
Let's talk about this week's ARG Presents, Aaron.
Oh man, we went off the beaten path to say the least, and delved trepidatiously into the Auric level.
I can't get over how good that intro is.
I know.
By the way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Duncan.
Dunk
You're
is the man. I'm using all Dunk stuff. That we're in the home of Tangerine right there, but not that particular building, but that city. But the Auric computer. We looked at you talk about a random pick of games. Mm-hmm. We had no idea what we were doing.
I really like to hear Brent say the word doggy. Every time he says it a little bit.
It's sort of disturbing. But we looked at Doggy and Zorgon's Revenge, both of which. By the way, the Doggy. Have you listened to this yet?
Yeah.
So you know that Doggy, the game had a interesting. The fellow that wrote it was the same fellow that went on to do Another World.
Right.
Stunningly.
Yeah.
And so we looked at that, and Zargon's Revenge is also an interesting game. So we had a lot of fun. And this week coming up, it's going to be another trip into the unbelievable. This is even more obscure than the Auric. This week when we delve into the Thomson line of computers from France. This stuff is. I've tried my best to learn stuff about these things.
I can't wait. I love if you renamed ARG Presents to Obscure Old Computers Presents, I would be in like Flynn.
First of all, you named that show.
That's true.
Number one, and number two, it's not always extreme old computers. I will say it's funny that we both thought the Auric was from France.
Yeah.
And so
here's what you do.
Ironic that the next week we would get the actual French computer.
You look at the wheel, you take out all the arcade stuff, all the pinball stuff.
There's none of that in there right now.
And you just load it up with Auric and Russian Auric clones.
No, well, oh God. I will say, but we actually had I was very concerned about both these weeks. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun to listen to.
So we had that cooking for us. So do we got anything else that came up?
I think that's it, Aaron. Let's go ahead and say goodbye. Guys, thank you for listening. As always, join us live if you can. Every Friday night when we tape around 5:30 Eastern. You can join the fine folks in the chat like Terror K.
Terror K broke me up just now.
Duncan Styles, Ricky DeRocha, Necronom 19 Staff. That's the German. You like my German?
I've heard of that
pretty
guy.
Good.
What he's making?
Gary Heather, Picard 2005.
Make it so.
Edvin Helland, old Four Kids McGee, Eric Sundstrom, Yusuf Selim, Steve Rasmussen. Tin Mark was in the house. I think he had to go. Boss Man was here, of course. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all out there in listener land for listening. Please join us next week when we play Beneath a Steel Sky.
Oh, that's going to be involved.
Oh, yeah. We'll see you then. Until next time, guys. Adios.
You ever played that?
No. I know it's an unfinished game. I have read it. I've read a lot about it. It came out on the Atari 8-bit.
Beneath?
Look it up.
Beneath the Steel Sky did?
Look it up.
I believe you. I'm just stunned.
It is.
It was known for its incredible graphics.
It's got incredible graphics on the Atari 8-bit. It's one of the most beautiful games.
You know, did you turn the corner on Project X just so the all the haters wouldn't come out of the woodwork and just beat you down?
I honestly, you know, do you know all the stuff that I say? If I was concerned about the haters,
that's true.
I'd have quit the show years ago.
Do you get a lot of haters?
No, I don't get any haters. I only get lovers.
Couple haters?
Who says that?
Enzo Amore. He's just a crappy wrestler.
Oh.
I'm ready with Paperboy.
Did he ever fight Zeus?
He might. He's on the indie scene.
All right. Well, I've got to hit the head.
All right.
Do you want a refill of anything?
No, man. We're on a roll again.
All right. Keep the chat going.
Oh well, I'm going to take this. I want to go. Well, is this? Yeah, this is. I was looking for one of the 40 chords, and I was like, "What's going on?" Who here has played Paperboy on the Specky?
You need me to make that text bigger for you?
No. Would you go? I gotta get out of here. You know how much money I spent on these glasses? Give me a break. You killed Yosef. You hurt his ears with your god awful. Oh, someone said. Well, I'm not gonna say it, but I think the name of the song got out. I didn't say it. Boat wrapping up. The guys over at Retro Asylum gave us a shout out. Oh, that was nice. Oh, shoot, I didn't even see that. Hey, Gary, are you still in here? I listened to this month's Retro Asylum. I'm at the very end, and I didn't know that. It's nice of them, though. Yeah. Okay. There we go. I've played this on the. This is one of the few games we have. Hey Gary, what did they? When they must have said something at the end of the show, because that's the only. I listened to it this month. It's the 16-bit wars over there. I was appalled that the Amiga came in last. I was appalled at that. But what are you gonna do? But I actually played this back in the day on the C64, which is unusual for me because I don't have a C64, and I thought it was a pretty good version, actually, on there. Okay, thanks, man. Oh, good. That's cool. I haven't really. It's funny. I've never ever. The only guy on that show I've actually spoken to was Mads. Excuse me, and he did a series on the CD32. He was doing videos of all the games, and I like Mads, and I like his shows. He's also doing this video capture project, which I really think is a good idea.
Are you talking about me?
No, I'm talking about Mads over on the. I did see it all, Colin. Yes.
I need to get some.
And I thought it was a pretty decent show. Although I will say, if you're going to go out of your way to watch something, watch the Tyler Bate Walter match on NXT UK. That was the match of the weekend. But I was listening to Retro Asylum way back when the original hosts were on there, and I really liked those guys. And I was kind of, and of course Swaney was on there, and Swaney's still with them. And I kind of liked the original guys, and it's a shame that those guys are gone. I really liked them. And I like the new guys too. Don't get me wrong. But the original guys were they seemed like just regular guys. I mean, they've got a lot of guys on that show that are like work in the industry and stuff and are publishers, and those guys they've got a lot of inside scoops. I know they're working like hand in glove with the people that work on the Spectrum Next. So they're pretty well connected, just like us, Boat.
We are.
What do you got there? Some sparkling water?
Yeah, man.
Man.
Have you gotten on board yet?
Not yet.
The sparkling water train?
Yes, Colin, you were absolutely spot on. A tremendous bout that was. It was the best match of the weekend.
Do they really have, like, I know we talk about haystacks all the time, but do they really have a retro wrestling scene that's like it is here in the UK? Like, where they're still trotting out Hulk Hogan, like at WrestleMania every year?
I don't understand what you're...
Okay, like, what is the WrestleMania of the UK?
Well, they have many promotions in the UK.
Okay. So are there do you think that their like wrestlers from the 80s are still as big like cultural icons as our wrestlers from the 80s are?
Are ours still cultural icons?
Well, they keep trotting out Hogan even after all the stuff that's come out about him every year at WrestleMania.
They're desperate for ratings. He's also the biggest wrestler that ever lived, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying, but I mean, he's an anomaly.
Well, all the rest of them are dead.
No, they're not.
Who else was in Hogan's class that's still living?
Ric Flair's still alive. Stone Cold's still alive. The Rock's still alive.
Yeah, okay, I guess you're right. Point taken.
I mean, the UK actually, until I'd say middle of last year, they had one of the hottest non-Latino wrestling scenes on earth. In the Lucha Libre scene, as you know from watching that documentary, they're always the tippity top.
All right, stand by if something weird happens. We're shifting seats.
Yeah, Mads has got a cool voice. I agree.
Oh, that's the wrong.
They said RA gave us a lovely on their show.
Oh, that was nice of them.
Yeah, it's wrestling's in a real down period. That's true. Well, Ric Flair wasn't.
Oh, he spans generations. He spans epochs.
It's Hulk and Andre. That stuff came around at the right time. I mean, wrestling, it's funny. Wrestling is more the athletic and entertaining, and the wrestlers work harder than they've ever worked in the history of wrestling right now. But fewer people care. It's not the wrestlers' fault. I don't know if it's anybody's fault. I think there.
Well, I blame it all on Vince.
I don't.
Vince came out and he said it's fake.
Listen,
when he said it was fake, it was all over.
Here's the thing. In my opinion, we are living in a glorious era of documentaries. We're living in a glorious era of dramas. Sports is we have the best athletes that ever lived walking the planet, right? Baseball, you've got the home run potpourri going on right now, right? But what's happening are the stadiums being filled? Are the ratings through the roof? NBA with all those talented guys, where their ratings down, everything's down across the board.
Right.
It's because unlike every era, but now everything. In those days, we all sort of had to pick from the same 5 or 6 things. There's a million things to do.
You're right.
And so you're never going to have. I'm not going to say never.
Because the era of the monoculture is over.
I mean, when I was a kid, boxing was the end-all, be-all, and everyone watched all the big bouts. Okay, and to a certain degree, baseball, football wasn't there yet. And every once in a blue moon, something will come along that catches everyone's interest. For example, the Mayweather-Pacquiao battle, right? For example, or even Mayweather and Conor McGregor, which caught fire there at the end because they got a couple. I mean, so that stuff can still work, and it can still draw money because it drew the most money anything ever drew.
Sure.
So you can't say it will never happen again. It can, but the stars have to align. I mean, look how popular Game of Thrones was. Like, everyone loved Game of Thrones. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Who are you talking to?
I'm asking you, though. You don't, right?
No.
Do you know anybody that really is into it a whole lot?
Well, you are the only person I really talk to every week.
Oh, my God. My point is, there can be big cultural events that go on that you don't even know about.
Oh, sure. I agree with
it's
you.
It's not
100%.
like Who Shot JR.
Right.
I can tell you, everyone, even if you didn't watch that show, knew what was going on. But when the House of Scumbag killed the Winter King or whatever, most people know what the heck you're talking about.
Well, Dallas at its peak was 1 billion times bigger than Game of Thrones.
Well,
I mean,
but why?
Because it was on network TV, first of all.
No, but there's more than that.
Well, that was a lot of it.
There was cable.
There was not cable.
Cable had a very minimal presence, and so everyone was sort of concentrated. It's like the last episode of MASH. You tell me everyone in the world was into MASH, no, but
there was nothing else on.
It's just that.
Yeah.
You said it, and so it's going to be difficult for any sport. I mean, football's longevity has been a triumph for them. They've done a great job. I mean, baseball. Listen, when we were kids, baseball was the bomb.
Yeah, well, they shot themselves in the foot.
It doesn't matter. They did. You're right. Multiple shots. They shot themselves multiple times in both feet. But at the end of the day, you just don't have. Listen, my kid goes home and he wants to play on his computer and watch videos on YouTube. Horrible videos. He wants to play on his Switch. He doesn't give a crap about TV. He watches old cartoons at Granny's when he's there, and that's it. He didn't give a crap. He didn't give a crap about sports. I saw him throw a dodgeball the other day. I was appalled.
Well, you never know, too. Like, I didn't get into sports until I was out of college.
All right.
So things can change.
You're right, but when I was a kid, you watched that crap. You said it in jest, but it was on. That's all you had. So if you want to watch TV, hey, look, PBA bowling. Well, let's get into that.
Right.
And it's all I watched.
Is Luke into Five Nights at Freddy's?
He doesn't like that.
Okay, well, that's good, because all my students, well, not all my students, but I've had students that were way into it, and that stuff's weird. So, like the user created Five Nights at Freddy's, like,
I don't get that. But I mean, I know my kid. We got him Five Nights at Freddy's PJs. He refused to wear them.
He's a smart man.
He was too scared of them. So it must be the scariest thing ever.
It is kind of scary. I don't like it.
You got a question of the show this time out? I got some comments about this particular game.
Why don't you?
I don't have any questions.
Oh, okay, well then I'll do it.
Yeah, you can do that. Okay. But I mean, I'm saying I've got plenty to say about the game. We're gonna talk about the arcade game.
Yeah, yes, I know wrestling is fake. What I'm saying is that when Vince came out and said it was fake, that was a bad move.
To be fair, he said that right before the peak of the popularity of wrestling.
I don't care.
Well, I'm saying
he shouldn't have done it.
Everyone knew by then.
Oh yeah, but it didn't. I mean, you still shouldn't say it. You should just infer it.
It didn't matter.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Paperboy.
All right.
Did you ever have a paper route back in the day?
No, I know. I did not. In fact, when this game came out, I was only vaguely familiar with the concept of kids delivering a paper.
It's funny because you and I both grew up in the same town, and we're a rural area that does not have a lot of bike-friendly areas, I would say. And the concept of a boy delivering papers, I've never seen in person in my life. We always had just some dude in a pickup truck. He didn't even have an official postal vehicle. It was just some guy.
Yeah, most in West Virginia, you would have to have. You couldn't take bikes up and down these mountains. You would never make it. No. And you would also. If it's 2 or 3 miles to get to the neighbor, that's a lot. How many people?
You're not going to be making. You're not going to make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw a delivery boy here. Now I will say I knew when I lived up on the mountain, I role played with we did D&D with a girl who delivered the Gazette in her car.
In her car. Yeah.
And she was in fact she got made the headlines by saving someone during her route. She saved somebody's life.
Really?
Yeah, during her route. She was actually featured in the paper she delivered. So that was kind of neat. Just like the Paperboy, I guess, was.
Do you remember when the Gazette merged with the Daily Mail?
I do. Was it the Mail that they merged with?
Yeah, because the Gazette was the morning paper and the Daily Mail was the evening paper.
It's amazing. They're lucky that we've got most places they'll have a real vibrant, our papers are still going okay.
I subscribed to the paper for a while in digital form. I actually paid money because I was like, I want to support local journalism. It was horrible. The writing was horrible. I got better reporting and faster reporting on WSAZ.com. So that was the end of my supporting the local journalism.
I never really, we used to get the paper, and my parents still get the Sunday paper. I don't know if they get the dailies. Mm-hmm. I used to read the funnies.
Yeah.
That's
the funnies.
That's all I did. The funny paper. That's the rest of it I didn't care about.
I liked on Sundays the funnies were in color.
Yeah.
That was all good. Yeah. It was all good.
And then when I got older, I'd read the sports section. Mm-hmm. See box scores, see what the standings were in baseball and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's funny because I read all the time, and I get The Economist. I read news magazines, but there's just I don't know. I just couldn't get it. There's so much of the daily paper that's just fluff. It's not hard hitting. It's Dear Abby. It's gardening columns, and
it's tough to have it. I've been waiting for this technology that we heard about with the bendable, foldable screen.
Sure, the e-paper.
And my thing was what you do to save because one of the problems that people don't get is there's a tactile pleasure in reading the paper.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, and what you need is something that is similar that you could use. And what I'd like to see is a large, flexible screen, and then every day the paper just appears on it. And instead of flipping through it like this, you just kind of hit a button and it just changes. And but you can still hold it. You can take it in the can or whatever if you read your paper.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But
however, I disagree. I mean, I don't enjoy reading the newspaper because the size is always sort of unmanageable. You kind of have to fold it in a weird way. I'd like to get a newspaper in a magazine format.
Well, I mean,
I realize at that point it's not the paper.
I'd want something bigger than a tablet, but I can maybe slightly smaller than a full-size paper.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah. I guess I don't really have anything else to talk about with newspapers.
You never delivered papers.
I never delivered.
You never delivered grit.
I never did. Did you ever submit anything for publication? Did you ever write an angry letter to the editor?
I never did. No, I've written tons of angry stuff on the net, but not.
Who hasn't?
Not.
That's what the internet is for.
Nothing wrong. I never read anything in the paper that really made me angry, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't get that worked up about stuff, so that's probably why.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Paperboy, Aaron.
I do get worked up about this because this is a game that I grew up. Well, yeah, I sort of grew up playing it. It appeared long ago. So before we get to the actual specky version, let's touch on the arcade version of Paperboy. But now. This game debuted way back in April of 1985. That's a long. Did you realize it was that old?
Yeah, I knew it was from '85.
And this one was on the Atari System 2 hardware, which I, as I mentioned before, we owned that. Mm-hmm. We didn't have Paperboy though.
So the System 2 games, Marble Madness was part of that.
Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Road Blasters.
This was really, I think, the last era of arcade games where they were really trying to attract your non-traditional gaming audience. I remember reading about the development of these System 2 games, and Atari gave its developers sort of carte blanche to try any non-traditional idea they could think of to lure more people into the arcade.
Yeah, and they did come up with something like another one was the Temple of Doom was on that on that setup. You had a lot of wacky games on the System 2.
I think Return of the Jedi was on System 2, wasn't it?
You may be right. I think you may be right. So this game debuted in the arcades, like I said, in '85 in North America anyway. And so you take on the role of a paperboy delivering papers to the local houses. Now, in the arcade, famously, this game came as a stand-up arcade game. Now, I never saw anything but the stand-up. I don't think there was a cockpit.
I don't think there was a cockpit.
And it had handlebars attached to the arcade machine, and you'd actually literally drive your bike by moving the handlebars. It was so super unique, and you couldn't help but see it when you walked. I mean, there was one of those games that you automatically caught your eye because it was so unusual, and then it had nice crisp graphics, and they were 3-dimensional looking graphics.